The week is officially in motion. The papers are definitely stacked high. It is 7:31 a.m. on a Monday morning. Time for Freshly Pressed on the Smooth Breakfast here on Smooth 98.1. I'm Ayokunmi Kekiri. This morning we'll be starting our week with lead stories from various papers across the dailies in Nigeria, The Punch, The Guardian, The Vanguard, Premium Times. We've got it all right here for you, and it's going to be interactive as it always is. Welcome into a brand new week, 23rd day of February 2026. It's going to be analysis, it's going to be your thoughts and contributions as well, which we always look forward to. And you can share them with us as you always do on WhatsApp and on YouTube as well. Leave those comments for us. Make them concise, easy to read. Punctuation, very important. So I don't stumble along, as I say, like a horse falling downstairs. The WhatsApp number is 0911 YouTube are streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right. Joining me this morning for analysis, two of the finest gentlemen I definitely know in the persons of Mr. C and, of course, AB Bozimo. AB, good morning to you. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Mr. C. Good morning to all of the wonderful listeners. I hope you guys had a rewarding and restful weekend. We make it happen this morning with hopefully some reasonable thinking.
We can only hope so. Mr. C, good morning to you.
Good morning, Aya. Good morning, AB. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, city boys. Good morning, village boys.
I'm still waiting for that football match between the city boys and the village boys. But before then, we need to talk about some very sombering issues here. I mean, this is what we always do on Freshly Press. We need to bring these issues to the fore, and we'll step right into the Daily Post, Mr. C, and talk about this one. At least 323 people have been killed in different attacks on rural communities across 6 northern states within the first 20 days of February. That's according to Amnesty International. And February is not done yet. Now, in a statement posted on its official X account on Saturday, the human rights organization said the killings were recorded in Benue, Katsina, Kwara, Kebbi, Niger, and Zamfara states. Now, according to Amnesty International, the rising death toll shows that the President Bola Tinubu led government has no effective plan for ending years of atrocities by armed groups and gunmen that have killed thousands of people. Mr. C, once again, we are at this table talking about multiple people being killed, and this is for the month of February alone.
So when I saw this story, I was very, very sad. We're not talking about 323 chickens. We're not talking about 323 goats. We're not talking about 323 rats or 323 roaches. We're talking about 323 people who've had their lives, their destinies, their futures prematurely cut short. We're talking about people who will never fully realize their potential. We're talking about families that have been separated from their loved ones. Now, when we dig into the story, we find a troubling pattern or arc. These attacks primarily centered on the north central and the northwestern zones.
Right.
Already we know what's happening in the northeast. Now, why this is troubling is a number of reasons. Now, let's start with the socioeconomic factors, right? The North generally could be regarded as the nation's primary breadbasket zone because a lot of the things we consume come from the North. Now, this is without prejudice to what we get from states like Edo, states like Delta, states like Lagos, states like Ogun. So when you find that attacks are being primarily focused on these states, you find that farmers are not going to the farm.
True.
Now, when farmers do not go to the farm or experience difficulties in going to the farm because they have to pay levies and taxes to non-state actors, what you then find is reduced farm output, reduced harvests, increased costs because those costs have to be passed on or have to be paid for ultimately by the end beneficiary. And who are the end beneficiaries? People like you and I, Ayo. Then they're also adopting a scorched earth policy whereby children are being locked out of schools, schools are being destroyed. Now, what is the effect of that? The long-term effect of that is we now have a growing generation of lost children with no education, little or no education. Now, when that happens, we have a time bomb waiting for us in front. The late Obafemi Awolowo was quoted as saying, "The children you refuse to educate today are the people who will torment you tomorrow." I'm paraphrasing.
And we have millions of those children.
Yes. Now, who are the actors? You have Boko Haram / ISWAP. You have Lakurara. You have Mahmuda. And then when you look at the response time of our security forces, some of the communities continue to say they received intelligence way ahead, passed it over to the security authorities, and little or nothing was done. Then when an actual attack is happening, they reach out. The response team comes hours after the attack. So you find that these communities are steadily losing faith in the monopoly of the state as the only user of force.
Right.
And that is why you find now some communities, especially in Katsina, are now willing and ready to do deals with these guys. Because as far as they're concerned, the state is non-existent. Then you also have to tack on certain troubling events. The event in Kebbi, the soldiers were pulled out barely an hour to the attack. As we speak, we still do not know who gave that order. Very troubling. We're not even talking about intelligence leaks.
Another story entirely.
So here we have, and when all of this is happening, some people in the South believe, oh, it doesn't concern us. But when these people no longer have any place to consume or attack, they're going to face the South. And part of their strategy is scorch the earth and increase the number of spaces within Nigeria that are truly uninhabitable and ungovernable. Now, in any serious country, you cannot lose 300 citizens in a month that has not ended, and the government is not shaking, people are not answering questions, heads have not rolled. It is simply inconceivable. But in Nigeria, it is very possible. And to think we still have a week in February to go through.
Right.
Is there any sign that this government is on top of the situation? The other day I was watching on TV and they were announcing and showing drones they had gotten, vehicles they had gotten. You are fighting someone and you're showing the person what you will use to fight the person. How does that make any sense? So it's sad. I don't even know what the numbers for January are. I don't want to look for them. But can I truly say on air today that the Nigerian government is on top of its games from a security perspective and we will not lose the numbers we have seen in February? I simply cannot say that, which is sad. How many more Nigerians need to lose their lives prematurely for us to get a handle on the security situation?
Maybe, I think you remember on Friday, we took a story talking about the military announcing, or should I say flagging off.
Sahel something. Yes.
Yes. And
commissioning an operation.
To that. I mean, how, Abi, I know you have a thought or two. Just please share with us.
I just want to say, part of this story said that sometimes attacks start from 3 a.m. all the way to 10 a.m. Nobody reaches there. How long does it take to make a flight from Nigeria to France? I wonder. You see, we have a lot of investment we do in everything wrong. And when it comes to just the general topic of putting resources where they are, we're told on the day one of this administration that we're making savings. Yet, every story shows that we have not even funded any budget. Even the security budget at this point, I doubt. And the story I'm going to handle next will tell us a bit more about how money is going or not going to certain critical sectors. We cannot continue like this. We cannot continue losing our brethren. I keep reminding us it could be any one of us. If anybody in Lagos or any other part of the country gets a proposed job that'll take you to Kebbi right now, that will make a difference to you and your family, you and I would take it. That means it's not because I happen currently to reside in the South that I'm immune. Every one of us on the surface of planet Nigeria should have the same sense of safety and security if we want to call ourselves a country. Anytime one of us is lost, we have all lost a compatriot. And this should be our sole concern.
It definitely should be our sole concern. Well, there's also a story that has to do with food and how much is being lost and actually being left on the table. Before that, AB, let us talk about what's going on in our ports. So this is also the story that has to do with money that is being left on the table. The Guardian is the paper of choice for this one. And it reads that Nigeria is losing over $6 billion yearly to freight diversion.
Repeat that, please, Ayo. How much?
$6 billion yearly to freight diversion. With a B, yes, with a B, to neighboring African countries due to the high airport charges, multiple levies, and continuous infrastructure gaps in its air cargo system. Speaking with the Guardian in Lagos over the weekend, the managing director of World Scope International Logistics Limited, Dr. Segun Musa, regretted that the country loses at least $500 million to countries like Ghana, Togo, Benin Republic, Cote d'Ivoire, Niger Republic, and several others within the sub-region. And unfortunately, AB, this is not something that is new at all. For years, the importers have routed their cargo through Tema ports in Ghana, Lome in Togo, Cotonou in Benin, and we know the problems. Until this very day, we're still talking about these same problems and losing so much.
Ayo, the story says we are losing this money due to freight diversion. No. We are losing this money due to incompetence, ineptitude, and inability at the highest levels of government. And I say this because in just thinking about this story, I just did a casual search about ports. Of course, when you think of ports in the world, you think of two, Rotterdam and Singapore. These are some, of course, they are major Chinese ports, but I limited myself to some ports that readily jump to mind. I can't really call the names of those Chinese ports readily. So I now wanted to compare. Let me leave Rotterdam is Europe. I don't know when Europe was last considered a third world country, maybe when there were Vikings there. But at least Singapore at one time is even associated with third world to first world. So at one point, Singapore was third world, air quotes. I said, let me compare the port of Singapore with Lagos, where we have, one, two, even a third port coming up. Singapore, by the way, is about 4 or 5 times smaller than Lagos. 700 and something square kilometers versus 3,000 plus square kilometers. Fine. The earnings of Singapore are about $5.8 billion per annum, with an additional $4 billion of economic activity within Singapore because of those ports. Guess how much the earnings of Lagos, not Lagos port, all the ports in Nigeria, including some landlocked ports, maybe in Kano or Maiduguri, all the ports, Gabadaya, how much do we earn? 597 million with an M. Less than 1% of what Singapore is earning is what we earn in Nigeria from our collective ports, airports, so road ports, so land ports, so every ports under bridges everywhere. And this is not because we don't have the population, but because we don't have the leadership ability. They have that reflex thing where let us put more levies, let us put more taxes, and it is such a backward approach. We heard that we're saving money from reducing infrastructure, reducing subsidy. I asked the question today, listeners, where did or does that money actually go? Every report says no sector of our economy, transport, housing, healthcare, no sector of our economy was funded. We've rolled over 3 budgets, 2024, 2025, 2000. We talked about it on Friday. They're now trying to do 30% of 2025 budget up to March. Where is
November.
the administrative?
Up to November.
It's true, they push it from March to November. Please, I stand corrected. Where is the administrative competence? I argue it is completely non-existent. So that money we're talking about is not being lost just to other countries. Other countries have simply looked at the giant with clay feet called Nigeria and slightly streamlined their ports. I don't think the port of Togo is magically, monstrously better than Nigeria, but it is better enough to make it wiser for a person importing to Africa to go there rather than come here. You go to Nigerian ports, everybody lining up in one khaki uniform or the other to frustrate you. And so it is basically not a problem of the ports, but a problem of the people in authority, those in leadership. And ports, by the way, are uniquely a federal, I think what's that thing called, exclusive, they're on the exclusive list. So even though the people of Apapa suffer terribly from the ports there, they have no, the Lagos State governor has no say over what he can do all those policies, try to say they should go, but they have no say. So that is uniquely, distinctly, and solely a federal government manifestation of ineptitude and incompetence. It's sad.
Mr. C, I mean, looking at what the ports in other countries are doing in Togo, in Benin, in Cote d'Ivoire, and so on and so forth, looking at the fact that they're doing the opposite of what we are doing. I mean, we've had so many complaints at the ports talking about congestion, the high demurrage charges, the customs bottlenecks, the regulatory multiplicity as well. You have so many different bodies being involved. Now it's being pushed into the aviation sector as well. Why exactly can we not get this right?
Okay, I think the answer is simple. For you to know what is right, that means you also know what is wrong. And then you also have a goal in front of you. These comedians don't have a goal. All they see are dollar signs, euro signs, pound sterling signs. That's all they see. Because you would think that we have the biggest economy in West Africa and arguably Africa. Because no matter what the product or good or service you are selling is, if you can find 20,000, what am I saying? 20,000 is too much. If you can find 10,000 Nigerians who will regularly and consistently pay for what you're offering, you are good. You are more than good. 10,000 Nigerians.
Out of 240 million. Just that's all it takes to break even on some products.
Let me remind listeners, to import a car today, you're probably paying 70% of the value of the car as import duty. Why?
Exactly.
No, why?
You ask yourself, what's the point?
So we didn't produce the car, we didn't manufacture it, we didn't paint it, we didn't ship it, just because they're entering these lax. When it comes to herdsmen with arms, they enter free. But cars that could be used for transportation, come on.
And then when you see serious countries scan things, they use automated equipment. Here we're still doing things manually because
in khaki uniforms,
wherever there's chaos and delay and ineptitude, I can show you a group of Nigerians that are benefiting.
Who are benefiting.
And for anyone out there who has had to do anything, driver's license, passports at some point and so on, you know that in that chaos, some people are cashing out big time, which is why in many cases, so many processes are not allowed to thrive because food for the boys will be taken off the table, and that's a very unfortunate situation. All right, Mr. C, let us head to Abuja. I mean, we can't get on the show this morning and not talk about what went down in the FCT local council elections. We'll take this from the Vanguard, where it says that operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, have arrested 20 suspects over alleged electoral offences during just concluded elections in Abuja. Now, these arrests were made on Saturday, February 21st, across several area councils in the FCT, with the suspects accused of offences including vote buying, vote selling, and obstruction of election officials. Mr. C, if you're buying and selling, that means there's more than one person involved. So whether the buyers, whether the sellers, so who are the buyers, who are the sellers, and so on and so forth.
No, well, so according to the EFCC, we only have the seller, the people offering in in custody. We don't have the beneficiaries in custody. That's it. Now, let me give a bit of a background to this election. There are 1.68 million registered voters in the Federal Capital Territory. Let that sink in. On Saturday, declared results suggest 239,000 people came out to vote. That's about 15%. 15%. Meaning 85% of the registered voters in the FCT did not bother turning up.
That's an overwhelming majority of people that didn't turn up.
Yeah, but you find supporters of the ruling party dancing to the heavens that the elections are a show of support for their policies and what has happened so far. I completely disagree. If 85% of the population, of the registered voters, do not turn up, that in itself tells you what the true story is. That they are not happy with the state of affairs, they're not happy with the conduct of the elections, and they don't feel it's in their interest to pull up. Now, the people who were arrested across 4 or 5 area councils in the FCT. In one particular council, somebody was arrested with over 13 or 17 million cash. Now, it speaks to a lot of things. It speaks to the desperation of the political class that they believe we need to get the area councils now ahead of the general elections. It also speaks to the fact that they continue to weaponize poverty. And it's also very sad that our people still do not understand the importance of their votes. I just saw a video on X, and a lady was saying rather ignorantly and rather unwisely that she would rather collect the money and buy a cold bottle of Maltina or what the other one, and drink under the shade than stand in the sun for hours, cast her vote, and not get anything in return for it. This is 2026, and sadly, we still have fellow citizens who think like this. Now, the EFCC has said they've arrested 20 people for vote buying, vote obstruction, and now, who are they working for? Who were they offering money for on behalf of? Because when you arrest someone at a polling unit offering money for votes, he's doing it on behalf of someone. Who is that someone?
I mean, I don't think anyone would take that amount of money out of the goodness of his heart just to help whoever candidate it might be.
Exactly. So, can we identify the candidates that they were doing this for? Can we then ensure that both agent and principal in this case being the political candidate, are prosecuted? Because I don't know how they can secure a conviction in court without naming and prosecuting the principal. I don't see it happening. Who were they doing it for? Who are the owners of those bodies?
Spirits.
So the EFCC, you're trying to pull the wool over our eyes, and we refuse to be hoodwinked. If you're not going to give us the complete picture, the complete story, don't disturb our eardrums, don't disturb our eyes with your half stories.
Just one thing, for those who say this is an overwhelming indication of how much support is going on, let them have 85% of their income withdrawn as a form of support for all their working. Then we'll know whether or not they will feel that that is the kind of thing that they can support. Anyway, I mean, we've seen some of the sheets, the ballot papers coming up. There's more Tipex on many of those sheets than there is actually ink. But thank God, the election has been won and done.
The funny thing, AB, is in the last how many years, I don't think I've seen Tipex used anywhere.
Except on ballot papers.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Because we have moved to
computerized world. We send emails, we send PDFs, we send. Where else on the surface of planet Earth is Tipex? I'm sure anybody manufacturing Tipex must, if they look at their sales, they must know the maximum sales goes to Nigeria. Because, all these people, they do sales analysis. So they say, Tipex, we have a steady order from Nigeria. Where else do you use Tipex?
Election season is the dirty December for the Tipex manufacturer.
For the
you guys,
industry.
no, sorry, gentlemen, you're not being fair. Nobody is above mistakes. Human beings make mistakes.
Okay.
You have to factor that in.
Okay.
And because they don't have spare copies of the form EC80, they have to use what is available. They still have to use them.
I get all sorts of
managing
mistakes where
resources.
numbers from 14 it becomes 141. Yeah, those are the kind of mistakes we're talking about. No Allah.
Let me take
So
a
you see
message before I come back to you.
see 114.
Tidu says, oh my goodness, I've been having a good laugh this morning. AB and Mr. C, you are so hilarious. The Vikings, AB, the state of the country is just so sad. It's rather unfortunate. Here we are. Digi says, bill for the transmission of electoral results was signed under 48 hours. 300 plus have died, but not even the flag has once been at half-mast. I hope people are going to choose wisely in the future. All right, let me go back in here, AB. Let us quickly jump into the story because time has absolutely flown by right now. Do you want to jump into 4 or 6, AB? I'll let you choose.
Let's do 4. Let's do 4.
All right. So, as I mentioned earlier, another story that has to do with numbers and leaving money on the table. The Punch is where this is coming from. Now, the Organization for Technology Advancement of Cold Chain in West Africa, quite a long name, has disclosed that Nigeria recorded between 3.5 trillion naira and 5 trillion naira in post-harvest losses in 2025. The president of the organization, Mr. Alexander Isong, disclosed this in an interview with the news agency of Nigeria in Lagos and said that the country lost an estimated 30 to 40 million metric tons of food across major value chains. Because of time, I'll let you jump right into this one, but this is ridiculous.
You see, even in the first story, Mr. C made the point about all these deaths not even leading to enough agricultural productivity. And this is like a follow-on on that story. For the little, such as it is, that is produced, it is not even being properly kept and maintained. Think of all the farmers' effort, the seedlings purchased, the back-breaking labor, the disappointment in some cases, the physical loss of family members, and then what manages to be produced is not even properly kept. And so you have hundreds of millions of tons of food lost. And this is all separate from the delays that happen because of bad roads. And yes, our boys in black and camouflage that will make a truck stay on the side of the road for 8 hours because of 200 naira or more. Now, they're talking about the cold chain. A cold chain is something that should actually allow a farmer have some liberty not to make a panic sale. Therefore, it increases the farmer's income. That's the first thing. You get food, you consolidate it in places where at least somebody knows that this set of tomatoes or whatever else is perishable will not spoil today or tonight. It can stay here for 3 days a week, maybe 2 weeks. And therefore, you're able to better control the prices. And how can we have a cold chain if we don't have light? Now, cold chain isn't just the buildings and the warehouses. It also includes the refrigerated vehicles. But somebody said, if I don't give you light, don't vote for me. You don't provide light at these places. Yet, at the drop of a hat, you buy cars. Any small thing, cars for legislators. Any small thing, cars for ministers. Any small thing, multiple cars up and down. Do you see that sometimes it is not, again, I'm going back to the fact that it's not lack of money, it's lack of priorities. We will spend money on cars and airplane tickets and going to France and other countries all over the place where we cannot keep our footing. However, when it comes to putting the money into ports, into cold chain, so that people can get food at relatively less expensive prices and proper food, no, we won't. We'll leave out of school children all over the country. It's just a matter of lack of both priority and the decision to make people happy in this country. And it's a major failing on the part of those in authority. Major failing.
Mrs. E, ever want to chip in? That's a very, very mirthless laugh.
I have a general question to ask, and I think it applies to all the stories. Where is the money? Remember, no ambassador has resumed anywhere, including the ones that were named.
No,
where is the money?
funded anywhere.
We are not funding MDAs.
Money.
You're not
It's a
funding
question.
MDAs. You're finding how to fund your security operations. You're finding how to provide. What? Where's the money?
And then you forgive NNPC for debts that criminals stole. I mean, where is the logic? Side by side, where is the money?
Where is the money? Well, maybe there's something you said. Cars, because it seems like the political class love their cars. I can't explain what it
Ah,
is, but they just love their
don't
cars.
joke
So
with those
listen,
their cars, oh. Don't
so do
joke
you
with
want
those
them
their
to trek?
cars.
Are they supposed to walk?
Don't they have cars already?
But those cars cannot get to Yelwata. Despite that, with all the cars, they could not get to Yelwata. Okay. Oh.
Let me take messages. Let me just walk into the messages. I can't drive in. This is Fabian from Ekwe who says, good morning, gentlemen. There have always been, and unfortunately, there will still be a proportion of Nigerians with a poverty mentality or who will lean on religious or tribal grounds to vote. What is important is if the remaining Nigerians will be educated and upright enough to go out and vote wisely and to speak out. Jerry, good morning. Jerry says, good morning, Ayo and all. Why didn't the EFCC stop Wiki from going about as a principal? He stopped everyone else except those working for them. From movement from the previous day to the election, may God help Nigeria. I don't know if Mr. Wiki has, has an extension of his job as a part of INEC. I really don't know what that was all about. Tony from Lagos Metropolis, good morning to you. He says, I shudder to think of the size of 1 million tons of food when we have all struggled to lift a 50-kilogram bag of rice. Nigeria is
Right
not
there.
a real place. I'm inclined to agree with you on that one. Ajayi Olonilua, who is Magudu Jerry, Sherry, good morning to you, sir. He says, I thought the 85% voters that stayed away from the polls are empowering a minority government. Oh, excuse me. Well, I don't know if any of those people would have any mouth to speak looking at where we are right now, since they didn't participate in the electioneering process. This is Ebekonelu who says, I was in Tarako in Benue and I bought a small bucket of oranges for 50 naira and 15 big cashews for 100 naira. Many of these fruits are wasting in huge quantities there. Hence why we have so much going to waste. So those numbers, I believe, are very, very credible. Tony Marine Beach says, now that we have so many terrorist groups springing up, maybe they should start considering registering with the CAC because we all know that it's a trending business driven by so many things. Lord Wike has just proven that the laws aren't made for the lawmakers as he moved around with audacity, as if we were going about to inspect his project. If the FCT election is the template for the 2027 elections, I can as well join Mike Guinea to say good night, Nigeria. What pains me is almost a trillion naira and people's time to be waiting to be wasted. On a lighter note, maybe the election should have been shifted because of the ongoing fasting, as that may have been the reason for low turnout. We never start. We're on a long thing in this country. Let me go to YouTube. I think there's a comment here. This is from what's this name here at Sif? Is that Sifriche or something? The government really has no business running ports. It should be privatized. There is nothing really special about ports. Privatization will realize the potential of all of them. Well, there you have it. And there we have it. It's time to wrap it up on the show this morning. Very interesting start to the morning. Not all good news all around, but hey, we do our best to make sure that we keep on keeping on and make everything work out. Thank you all for all your messages. Thank you, Mr. C. Thank you, AB, for joining me on the Monday morning. AB.
For the 323 that we've lost so far, and if we go by projection, that should be over 400 by the end of this month. I pray not a single other person is lost. We mourn. We can only ask our security forces to understand that after this government, there will be another government. Let them do their very best to make sure that they are not found wanting. For all who have listened in, thank you for your time, your messages. Your efforts will not go in vain, even and despite what those who call themselves leaders in Nigeria try to do to frustrate us. God bless you all.
God bless us all. Thank you so much, AB. Mr. C.
Thank you, Ayos. Thank you, AB. Thank you, wonderful listeners. Let's just go out this week and put everything in God's hands. It's a good thing everyone is fasting now, and let's all trust that at the end of this period that we'll all come out the better for it.
Amen to that. Let's have a great, great Monday despite everything that is going on all around us. And make sure that you keep it tuned to Smooth 98.1. 8:15. It's a walk into the locker room. And I know that it's going to be absolutely buzzing. Arsenal fans, we need to hear your thoughts this morning. My name is Ayokunmi. Keep listening to Smooth 98.1.